Have you been looking for a Taekwondo podcast with qualified people who know what they're talking about, who help you keep up with everything going on in the Taekwondo world? Well, you found it. This is the Taekwondo Podcast. Taekwondo news, competitions and other events, training and sports science, keeping the fans, coaches, and high-performance athletes up to date with the latest news and trends on Olympic Taekwondo. Let's do this. This is the Taekwondo Podcast. And here's your host, César Valentim.
Hello and welcome to the Taekwondo Podcast. We're a podcast based out of Austria in English language for everyone out there who likes Taekwondo. On this episode, we take a look at the Olympic Games in Paris and have a quick conversation with Don Luis about Day 2. Welcome to our podcast. How are you doing, Dan? Since yesterday has been a lot going on.
It's been a lot going on. It was another fantastic day. I thought today was even better than yesterday. A lot of very close matches. Could have gone either way. We'll talk about that. And I got a little bit of sleep last night, so I'm pretty good.
Sleeping is always important. Today was even worse for me than last night. I finished editing the podcast and released it. That was not a problem. Today I caught up with the morning sessions, but then in the afternoon was so busy that I was like giving training, doing other stuff, and trying to watch at the screens to see some of the matches. The evening session, I really was very busy, so I will have to delegate to you most of the comments. I did see the bronze medal match from the under 68. I did see a little bit of the final in the 57s, but not paying close attention because, with Paris coming up for me in a couple of weeks, I was busy, as you can imagine, with other stuff. So I will let you, pop it up and start doing it. So,
okay.
You want to go about the morning session first?
Sure. The morning session, I thought the highlight was one of the first matches I actually saw, which was the Kimia versus Nahid match in the round of 16 and 57. Bulgaria versus Iran, and it went 3 rounds. It was a referee's decision at the end of the third round. It was 7-7, and the refs, went for Iran, for Kiani Chandi. And it was extremely close. I thought, both were deserving, but I was happy that Nahid pulled it out. And then, of course, she had a good run after that. Didn't manage to pull it out in the gold medal match, but I think she was happy with the silver at the end of the day. And then Kimia turned it around because Nahid went to the final and ended up fighting China, Zhongxi Luo, which I had originally thought was going to be the actual final. So they had a great bronze medal match, again, 3 rounds. And even though the momentum was headed towards China after the second round, Kimia pulled it out. I was happy about that. And Europe got a bronze medal out of that. I like that. Europe via Iran.
Yeah. Well, when you look at the match from Kiani and Kimia Alizadeh in the morning, it was very messy, very confusing. They both lost the cars, both coaches, very early in the match. And a few of decisions were pretty sketchy. I think the referees are definitely letting too much go when it comes to grabbing. Grabbing from both of them, especially from Kiani, was a bit absurd. She was grabbing all the time. They give her the video replay for the head kick when you see her pulling the uniform from Kimia. Yes, the match went the right way. I think that definitely in the third round, Kiani was better, but it was a dirty, very, very dirty fight. And I think those kind of fights went to athletes that have amazing foot skills. Both of them are tall. They are very agile, very fast for this weight division, especially Kimia, considering she comes down from 62 most of the times. It was, and Kiani is a world champion, but in 53. So a big difference there, but both of them very agile. And it doesn't need to be so dirty. That makes the sport and makes the spectators and makes the people that are not into the high level of Taekwondo, they just do it sporadically, or they're just watching it for the first time, wondering, is this allowed? Is it so much grabbing allowed? If she got away with it, she got all the way to the silver medal with it, and maybe she should also try judo or wrestling, because it was very good grabbing and the referees did let her go.
I agree that it's very good grabbing. I think she's the second best in the world at very good grabbing in that division. The best being Tatiana Menina, who's actually a little bit more clever, and then she tends to grab when the ref's blocked by the opponent's body. So now he has a ways to learn to be the very best at that. But yeah, I totally agree that she grabbed ankles and legs, uniforms all day long. And there was, again, an awful lot of challenges on headshots where the equipment didn't pick it up. Although, a lot of them were to the face. So you can't fault anybody for, face kicks right on the nose or the chin strap where it needs to go to protest. And those were handled really well, again, very swiftly, usually definitively by the multi-angle replay that we got to see. I don't mind the delays when we get to see the replays. It's like, in American football where almost every play is replayed from different angles. That's what this was like for me. And so that was familiar. I enjoyed it. So I wasn't complaining about the number of protests.
No, just like yesterday, the IVRs were very clean, very decisive. The ones that took a little longer, they were still showing it and rotating the cameras from the sides, from it was up, down. It was very nice to see. And again, that part of the refereeing was good. Letting the grabbing go is probably not the best thing for the sport. And the punches, oh my gosh, the punches again.
Yeah.
They missed the punches all the time today.
Yeah, there was very awarded, and it seemed unfair when they award one out of 4 or more that could have been awarded. So that's clearly, you had said perhaps that punching shouldn't be part of the sport. I actually do really think it should be part of the sport, and that they should be more liberal with awarding punches, just like I think the thresholds on all the hogus should be, chest protectors should be reduced, the thresholds reduced so that there's more scoring. Because now we rely on 0-0 scores, and this person's had 3 hits to their 2 hits, and so they win the round. I'd like to see those scores.
No, well, today I was practicing for Paris, and in one of the matches I was having with my players, I had 25 hits, no scores. So you go to 25 hits and no scores. It's like, whoa.
Yeah. So, there were a number of other excellent matches, a lot of different styles on display. Over in men's, Barry Sinden had, put on a clinic in terms of the inside game. The guy's a master at jumping in, the short distances and, scoring with the little backflip kicks to the chest.
The twist kick to the chest, like the way he did to Marko Galovic from Croatia. The guy's actually winning and walks into the clinch against Sinden is not very smart. Very big mistake from them to go inside in a clinch in a guy that's Bradley Sinden is twisting you, the famous Bituro Chagi, to the vest and scoring.
Yes. Yeah. And another thing about that match, which I thought was a highlight as well, that one, and also about against Sinden Kareem, but we'll get back to that, is that, if you saw it, I thought the referee really messed up in the third round, where it was close towards the end. Sinden was ahead by at least 5, maybe 6 points. I think it was like 15-9 or something like that. And then Marco, it looks like he caught him with a turning kick to the back of the head cleanly. The equipment did not register it, and so the ref stopped and then pulled out his card without doing an 8 count. And then Barry and the coach, Martin Stamper on the side, were immediately saying, no, you can't do that. You're supposed to count first. You can't pull out your card and ask for a replay to give it 2 extra points, because there's no points to give extra to. So that would have been, very good for Marco to have got those 5 points, but didn't happen. Thought it was interesting. I think I read that right. I'm not so sure. The rest is history. Sinden pulled away. I think it was 18-10 the last round.
Well, the rules changed a lot. A few years ago, the corner judges could apply for it if the coach didn't have a card. I still think the counting, some referees are smart and they start counting just to be able to pull the card. And in this case, it wasn't the case. And of course, Martin Stamper, experienced coach, leading the GB team to a medal. And not today, but he's an amazing coach that has experience as a player and with video replay requests. So
Right.
of course, you wouldn't let that one go. neither
Right.
would you or any of the coaches that are active and know the rules. You don't count. You don't get to pull out your own card.
Right.
That's something that, again, interpretation is not even on the rules. You just add it on the interpretation and guidelines, and you'll be able to do it on the next round. You'll be able to do it
Right.
tomorrow, because we don't know what's going on in the technical meetings. They are not broadcasted online. We don't know what's being taught to the referees. Probably they've been told, don't score so many punches, don't be so subjective, and let them grab a little more, let them fight, don't interrupt so much. It's being broadcasted, don't make the matches so long. Things like that. If they say it to them, we don't hear it, we don't know, but you can only guess that's what's happening.
We hear it by rumor afterwards, and I think you're right. Those meetings should be public and should be broadcast or available. If somebody wanted to watch it, silently from afar, just so you can hear the latest nuance on rules and interpretation of rules. That'd be wonderful. Say, what did you think of Eugene Kim from Korea and winning the gold and her overall performance? She really stood out as being extremely strong today. I was aware of her, but I certainly didn't predict that she'd win the gold.
She looks a little bit like Troy's wooden horse, right? She walks inside. She's very nice with little voice, very friendly person, and then she steps into the mat and wow. And she doesn't make mistakes. She did today an impeccable performance, and again, it's good. It's the second medal for Korea, second gold medal after Tokyo being like that. Again, that's why the rules also changed, why the KPNP system is being used instead of Dedo. They're not playing around. They made sure that they would be ready for this Olympics. And again, it's a total deserved. Just like Tejum Park yesterday, these people are the best on their categories on the days of their matches. So very well deserved gold medal.
Excellent. And tomorrow we'll probably see a little bit more of that. Just not to forecast tomorrow or anything, but yeah, it's looking like a good day tomorrow. So with Rashitov sort of wrapping up his second gold medal, do you think he's going to continue? You obviously go to LA in 28. He's only 22. You think he's got a long career ahead of him?
I think Rashitov is going to be one of those that's going to make history. Rashitov today, he had an impeccable day, but again, he's been having an impeccable couple of years. And as you said, 22. But again, we never know how injuries play off. We never know how their personal lives play off. I think he will still be around, but I'm not aware of what Uzbekistan has on the pipeline. What juniors will they have? What they're going to have? I think Rashitov is. Some of my team members, they always call him their favorite. Of course, each one of them have their own. The younger ones love CJ Nicholas, and there's a few of them.
Yeah.
The girls will, of course, have their favorites. So today, of course, one of their favorites, teacher Kolbri Ulgun, just being eliminated in the repechage by Skylar Park. So again, another one of our club favorites. But Rashitov is by far the nicest skilled athlete we have right now at 68. And people like Recep Hakan. For me, it's Rashitov is absolutely the cleanest player and the most skilled. The way he fights makes this sport just acrobatic.
I think you said you saw the last match, the gold medal match. Did you see that in the first round? He did that turning back kick to the face of Zaid, just bopped him on the nose, but just a beautiful kick.
Well, I was watching it during the same time I was giving training, so I didn't catch the entire match. It's funny because my assistant trainers, they were all on their phones because I had national television doing a story on my player, so they were also filming the training. So I couldn't do what I usually do during the Olympics of putting the matches on the flat screen. I had to put the scoreboards from our own test matches.
Right.
And they were all on their phones watching so basically, I don't know who was leading the train today. Definitely not me. And my assistants were all glued on their screens. And Today was an amazing day. Guess what I'll be doing after editing the podcast? I will be, well, my girlfriend will be sleeping, and I will be on my phone with my headset trying to catch up on the matches.
Yeah,
And
you know,
tomorrow's going to be one of those days that, well, nobody will be able to reach me on the phone. I will be glued to my phone all day watching
yeah.
the.
And I got to say, my wife was watching with me today, and she says she sees Rashitov walk onto the stage just for the gold medal match. She says, "Wow, that guy's really good looking," and so he's got that going for him too.
I have to ask my girlfriend what she thinks about this.
Yeah. He's a good looking young man. You can take that to the bank.
So, what were for you, on your opinion, the downsides of today?
The downsides, I mentioned the helmet still, and you mentioned the grabbing. So there's still issues. Oh, and there was the guys, the men 68, they were, better at scoring to the chest. And there was more frequent. Some of the scores were higher like that. If you're using old school scoring, that Sindin Marko Gulovic fight ended up being 35-27. So they didn't have a real problem scoring. And of course, Barry, he can score on the inside like we've talked about. But the women still having a real tough time scoring to the chest. I don't know if that's technique, which it probably is, or thresholds, or a bit of both. So the equipment still let us down. You already mentioned punches, so that's an ongoing matter. It seems to be, it seems like they were instructed to not award a punch in the second or third round, period, and be careful about awarding very many at all. So that might have been instruction to the referees. There were only a couple of real mismatches, and they were early on, where you had people fighting in, or the number 16 seed against Rashitov, and that's not a pretty sight. But overall, I thought the level of competition today in both divisions, 57 and 68, was superb, and I have virtually no complaints.
Well, the socks from KPNP, they don't have a sensor on the heel. They have, but the proximity sensor, because it's an NFC card placed under your sole, just on the arc of your foot, should be enough that when you hit with your heel, it still scores. So most of the times, what you saw were the cut kicks or checks with the front leg as an anticipation from the movement from the other opponent. So if your opponent was walking into you, you would be able to score. You saw that a few on the girls. They don't usually use back leg, and when they did, the blocks were there. So I think that was not a sensor problem. I did see, and for example, the first match from Scholar Park against Dominika Ornova from Czech Republic, second round, very fast front leg crescent kick, and it scored. So again, it's I don't think the level is that high. I just think that the scratches and the kind of fighting that you're used to do with the Dedo system doesn't work on the KPNP, and this system is made to avoid those kind of scores. Yes, making them lighter, making them easier to score, make the matches more interesting. But again, with this system, because of the proximity sensor being an NFC sensor, you don't even have to have contact to have proximity. That closes the system. I don't know if I think there are a few podcasts we talked about it. In one of our previous episodes, the card or the sock just needs to be a few centimeters away to activate the proximity contact sensor, and then the impact sensor would be activated when you kick. But the thing, if you kick through the glove or through a lower arm, especially in the lighter female divisions or the lighter male divisions, if you kick through the block, then the sensor is still close enough to activate the sensor. The pressure of your own arm against your own block vest will open the points. So making it a little harder avoids those kind of ghost points. They are actually not ghost points. They're a flaw in the system, and the flaw by design of the system. Raising it increased the fact that this not happen. I haven't seen any of those kicks through the blocks. And in the beginning, the original KPNP systems, you had to teach them to block with your arms away from the chest protector. Like Dedo, it's enough for you to just put your arm blocking the chest protector, because then the magnets will not impact. Sometimes the magnets will not even open the contact sensor without the arm being there. That's the problem with Dedo. With KPNP, it's the other way around. In the lighter weight divisions, you would kick through the block, or you have to learn to block with two hands instead of one, and or block further away from the chest protector so that the fake contact from your own arm hitting the chest would not score on you. So it is again the rules and the adaptations we do to the rules to compensate for the systems not being there yet. So it's not ideal, but it's the solution that it's there and it's working, and we'll have to see until the new parameters, new characteristics come in the protector scoring system that allows these things to be avoided.
Say, I got a question for you. On our Facebook page, there's been a discussion, an open dialogue going on about so far. We're halfway through with the lighter divisions, and the several people are making comment about how perhaps Asia being more familiar with KPNP. That's perhaps one of the explanations is they're doing too well. But Europe uses a tremendous amount of KPNP as well, and Europe's not having the best Olympics just yet. We've got a ways to go. So you think that's a false piece of analysis?
I'll put it the other way around. Asia barely uses Dedo, and Europe has an advantage of when using Dedo. Okay, so the fact that most of the Dedo events are in Europe, and they get practice with that. The KPNP system, it's been used for years, primarily in Pan American region. And how did Pan America did so far? So it's the all big events this year were done with the exception of President's Cup. All the events this year were done with KPNP. So there's a lot of practice.
Yeah, no, in this year and even last year, America is the only opens, the only G events that had used KPNP were the Canada Open, and they got chastised by the president of Pan Am for doing that. And there was rumors of some sort of bad behind the scenes blood because of that. But yeah, that's actually one of the big complaints we have is that virtually all of the, especially the U.S. Open and other events are, unless they're qualifiers for things like that are going to use KPNP, either Worlds or Olympics, unless they're qualifiers, it's virtually data all the time. So, and then it's really old data equipment, which it's got broken coils and all kinds of problems. So, anyway, that's what's going on here.
But again, that's because the events that are sanctioned or organized by the Pan Am Federation, by PATU, they have a sponsorship deal with Dedo. The same with ETU, the European Taekwondo Union, also has a deal with Dedo. So, of course, the President Cups or multi-games and all events like those will be Dedo, but that's part of a sponsoring agreement. The fact that Asia gets better with KPNP, it's not only because they are not using Dedo so much and using KPNP, of course, but also because the system was designed for that kind of fighting style. Okay.
Well, thank you. That's a good explanation.
Okay.
I'll relay that.
I will pop into your it's in the US Facts and Figures Facebook group. I'll jump in later.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the one of the best or one of the few Facebook groups in that I actually use. There's a very old Portuguese trainers group that I still use, Portuguese speaking trainers group with like 20,000 members. And then it's yours. That's actually everyone I know uses it to comment on statistics and stuff that you've been putting in. That's amazing, Don. That's,
well, thank you.
Well, let's try to keep this short then. And tomorrow we're going to have a very interesting day with some of the good names coming up, and looking forward for our next chat.
Yes, so am I. We've got, I think, 9 different guys that can win the men's 8 minus 80. And we're, of course, here, everybody's rooting for CJ Nicholas. But, it's a tough road for everybody. And the top half of the bracket is absolutely stacked. So, good for CJ. He's in the lower part, but there's still some very difficult Africans there. There's 3 Africans that could beat him. So anyway, really looking forward to that and talking to you tomorrow.
Thank you, Don. It was a pleasure being here with you and with everyone who is listening. This was a Taekwondo podcast. If you haven't already, listen to our other episodes that are available wherever you listen to your podcasts. We're releasing new episodes every day this week until the end of the Olympic Games, and then every Tuesday after the Paralympics are finished. Stay tuned, subscribe to the podcast, leave us a positive review, and share it with your friends. See you next time.
You've been listening to the Taekwondo podcast, keeping the fans, coaches, and high-performance athletes up to date with the latest news and trends on Olympic Taekwondo. Your host, Coach César Valentim, has almost 20 years of experience with high-performance Taekwondo and has worked all around the world as a Taekwondo trainer. We hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure to like, rate, and review, and we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, find us on Instagram at Taekwondo Podcast, on Facebook at Taekwondo Cast, and the website taekwondopodcast.com. See you next time.